a man crouches by the diving vessel's hatch, watching his teammate descend to work on the ocean floor. But instead of helping, he reaches out and cuts off his teammate's oxygen supply. The other two teammates freeze in place, not understanding why Jack would try to kill their companion. Immediately after, a weak cry for help comes through the communicator, but the two teammates who were just shocked after hearing the distress call, not only fail to turn on the oxygen switch, but also pull out their teammate's tether rope, leaving him to die miserably in this vast ocean. It turns out they're trapped on the deep ocean floor, with barely any oxygen left. Their teammates still insisted on going down to the deep sea, wasting even more oxygen. They had no choice but to make this decision. But just as the three are immersed in the grief of losing their teammate, the heater beside them suddenly malfunctions and stops working. At this depth of 400 meters on the ocean floor, without the heater, they would soon freeze to death. At this moment Jack has a sudden idea. He uses gas to continuously heat a water container. Soon the container begins releasing steam. Watching the temperature slowly rise, the three finally show happy smiles. But gas heating would continuously consume the oxygen inside the diving chamber. Thinking of this, the three men's mood instantly plummets to rock bottom. Seeing the oxygen in the diving chamber running dangerously low, the three write their final letters, hoping that if discovered, their families would have some closure. But just then, a sound suddenly comes from the communicator. It turns out their distress signal has been intercepted, but rescue time is measured in hours, and their oxygen simply won't last until rescue arrives. At this moment Brad makes a bold decision. He will dive into the deep sea to search for oxygen tanks scattered on the ocean floor, but as he gradually goes deeper, the tether rope quickly reaches its limit. Yet at this point Brad still hasn't found any oxygen tanks. His teammates tell him to come back quickly, otherwise he might be in grave danger. But just then, Brad suddenly discovers a dead teammate clutching an oxygen bottle. He hurriedly drags the oxygen bottle back to the diving vessel, but he also falls into shock from lack of oxygen. One teammate frantically gives Brad emergency aid, while Jack rushes to replace the diving vessel's oxygen bottle. Fortunately, at this critical moment, the oxygen bottle replacement succeeds, but Brad has stopped breathing. Just as the two fall into deep despair, Brad's eyes suddenly move slightly. His teammate quickly helps him sit up. After taking several deep breaths of oxygen, Brad finally returns to normal. At this moment the communicator suddenly sounds again. It turns out there's too much debris on the ocean floor. They simply cannot be spotted by the rescue team. At this point Jack has another brilliant idea. If they send a buoy to the surface, then they would definitely be found by the rescue team.